Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video we're going to be having a discussion on scroll saw patterns. More importantly, the versatility of how far a scroll saw pattern can go. You guys know I love talking about a scroll saw's versatility for making cool and unique and amazing designs, but the pattern itself can also be interpreted in your mind's eye in several different ways. My goal in today's video is to help you think outside of the box when it comes to a scroll saw pattern. Now, when you get a scroll saw pattern book or download a pattern from Steve Good's pattern catalog, you guys know that they are essentially line drawings, and once you get them printed out, that is essentially what they are, lines on a piece of paper. And most people who maybe have just gotten a scroll saw or is curious about the hobby of scroll sawing, what they will do is get their pattern, attach it to a piece of wood, and just cut it out and think that that is all there is to it. But once you get a little bit of experience under your belt, you will start to look at scroll saw patterns in an entirely different way, and that is the goal, hopefully, of today's video. Now, most people, when they cut out a project, they just cut it out. This is my design of the iconic classic Jaws poster, and basically once you cut it out, I basically put a backer board on it, and that's what I do for a lot of my stuff that I document. But occasionally you can take it a step farther. This is just an example of just a basic portrait style scroll saw project cut out and finished in a basic standard scroll saw woodworking way. But you can take it an extra step and put a beautiful frame on it, which I've done here. This is a half-lap picture frame. This has been hanging on the wall for years, and this is a nautical sailing scene, and this was actually the very first half-lap style picture frame I ever made. But it just takes the scroll saw pattern, which is a Steve Good design in this case, to the next level with creativity and just adding more to it. And of course, if you go to vendor or craft fairs and you try to make a little extra pocket change, you know, doing scroll saw woodworking, the more you add to a project, the more you can potentially charge for it, if that makes any sense. I will occasionally add frames to stuff that, you know, I think needs or deserves a frame, or if I'm making a gift for a special one or a loved one, you know, I will go the extra mile and make a frame for it. But that is one thing I'm talking about. Also, versatility of patterns. Now, this is going to cater more so to layered designs or multi-part scroll saw pieces. You guys know I love making the dioramas over here because I love the miniatures. It goes with the model train hobby and things like that. But one thing that I want to note to you guys, when you download a multi-part pattern such as this one, this was last year's final scroll saw project video, this Merry Christmas design by Steve Good, you can take just individual parts of the project and make it its own standalone design. You can see here it is layers that layer up to make this beautiful Christmas scene with Santa Claus and his reindeer and a church on a hill. But as I said in that video, you could take just the layer with Santa Claus and his reindeer, and all this is 1/4" material here, cut that out by itself and maybe put a photo of a winter landscape or a family photo, you know, like a group photo behind it. That is an option. Also, with this little nativity scene here by Fox Chapel Publishing that I cut out of exotic woods, I said in that video, if you just took the one small layer there with the nativity of Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus representing the true meaning of Christmas, you could take just that nativity scene, and if you had a way to enlarge it, you could make it a piece of yard art. That is what I'm talking about when it comes to a scroll saw's versatility, when it comes to the patterns and everything. Your only limitation in this case is your imagination. You guys know we recently made this Steve Good sailing ship scene diorama here with the whales chasing after the boat and the ocean waves and the base and everything there, and I really love this design. It's very tropical and nautical, and you guys know I love those designs. But when we cut the ship out, due to the fragile nature of some of it, I wanted it to have more support, so I stack cut and I got two of the main bulk of the scroll work, which is the ship itself, that middle layer there, and I said off camera I would finish it, and that is indeed what I've done. So here is a piece of this multi-part design finished in an entirely different way, and I just painted the scroll work white after I sanded it up real nice, and then used the washer technique to add a navy blue background to give it a really nice seafaring look, you know, like it was hanging in a like tropical restaurant or something like that. That is always an option. And speaking of multi-part projects, you guys might remember a couple St. Patrick's days ago for a project video, I made this beautiful Jerry Bear Celtic cross, and it was a multi-layer design. You know, the farther the layers went, the more detail was added, and this was the topmost layer. And I finished the project as he intended over here on camera, but then I just took that top layer due to stack cutting because, again, I wanted more support on those fragile details, put a backer board in a nice green color with the washer technique on it, and have another standalone project that's not the full pattern as was intended, if that makes any sense. Several years ago, Steve Good released a pack of patterns that was called shadow art, and what that means is half of the design is in what would be called the daylight here, like with this shark, and then the other half is in the dark shadows. And there was several designs here. There was a person, there was animals, you know, and things like out in the world and everything. I think there was like a house, a tree, things like that, but half of them were in the light, half of them were in the shadow. Now the way you could take this project here to the next level, and I have another one here. This is spring lovebirds, and everyone always asks where I get this pattern when I take it and show it to people, and I tell them it's a Steve Good pack, and you see the shark was in it as well. And I think I cut this out one year for Shark Week. But the way you could take these projects here to the next level, if you are very good with resins, you could add resin to this and really take these projects above and beyond what they are intended. Now, of course, with the thickness of the bases that Steve has in the designs, they can easily freestand on a shelf, desk, or countertop. But if you had a way to frame out this end here, you could put a nice blue, dark blue in here, and maybe a black in the tail section to show the colors of the ocean, you know, the eerie depths and everything. Same goes with the spring bird scene here. You could frame this out, again, if you're good with resin, and fill in the resin with different colors for a nice springtime project. There is just always options, as well as this little fish here that's been on the scroll saw display wall. A few years ago, I cut out a beautiful fish scene, you know, and this was the standout feature. Again, stack cutting to help support the fragile details. That's what I'll do if there's something very fragile I got to cut out. I will go on just stack cut and make two of them because of the time it takes to cut everything out. But this has been sitting on the scroll saw display wall here, and it's kind of hard to come up on camera, but this was part of a scene, and this was the foremost piece of it. And as I said in that video as well, you can easily put this on its own backer board or even use it for a stencil for spray painting if you wanted to go that route. Also, we cut out the exercising bike man here on a base, and as I said in that video, again, multi-uses. You don't even have to add a base. You can add something nicer to the bottom, again, another base, and make this a bicycle trophy. You could not even put the tabs that are on the bottom to hold him to the base, and you could have him as like a trophy, or even with cutting the tabs off on the bottom, put him at the bottom of like a picture or frame about cycling, like just have him floating down here in the bottom. Just imagine that was like a picture frame or something like that. And also, you know, different patterns offer different varieties. I cut this out from my mom. I went and got it from her, and these are summertime flip-flops. But keep in mind, this was just a vinyl decal we had, and I laid it down as best I could and took a picture of it, sent it to my printer as big as I could, and cut it out. So variety and versatility. A lot of vinyl decals are kind of catered like a scroll saw woodworking pattern, if that makes any sense, as well as pumpkin carving stencils. I've used a lot of pumpkin carving stencils just as standalone scroll saw projects, so there's always variety and versatility. And of course, laser engraving I want to talk about lastly. Of course, if you have a laser engraver or have access to one, you can easily drop scroll saw patterns into whatever software you use and cut them out just like that. Once again, going with this Celtic cross here, I dropped this topmost design into the Lightburn software, which is what I use for laser engraving, and I made a small Celtic ornament with just that top layer there, and you can see how intricate that is and what the laser done. And of course, some people are uncomfortable cutting out very small things on their scroll saw, so cutting something out this small over on the laser would be practical, as well as some of the Steve Good designs. He released some motivational ornaments, and this is hanging in the workshop, and I always look at it, it says follow your dreams, but I again dropped this into Lightburn and I made an ornament that says the exact same thing here. So variety and versatility, and I hope In today's video, I have inspired you guys to think outside the box to where you can let your creative juices just run wild. Again, your only limitation is your imagination. I hope you have liked this video. I hope you guys have found it informative. If you have, please drop me a comment down in the comments below. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to it and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one. And remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.